Well, the Epstein files have been released. At least some of them. Who knows what has been redacted? I mean, they've certainly had enough time to comb through them and remove what they want. Because, again, all the world is a stage, and events like this are no accident. As much as I want to believe that there are white hats, good agents within the government that are trying to expose their own corruption, common sense just behooves me to think otherwise. This move and moves like this are often very strategic and serve a larger agenda than just smearing one political candidate or another. And let's face it, both sides of this political dog and pony show are complicit, have been exposed, and that's a good thing. It should be a good thing. What I foresee happening, though, is that this becomes a crux point for further division between the left and right. You'll have people, pointing at each other saying, he's the bigger pedophile, or no, he is the bigger pedophile, and it'll just go back and forth, and time will tell. Hopefully I'm proved wrong on that. Hopefully people will wake up to this political circus and remove their consent to be governed by not voting. If we had record turnouts of people, not voting, it would show the population in the world that, we don't believe in this rigged game anymore, and it would expose the world, it would expose the government as illegitimate, and it would help reinforce that into the minds of the masses that it is illegitimate. That's really what we need. So the other thing is the Bill Gates connection to all this, and the scheming with Jeffrey Epstein to release the crown virus. So, I mean, like, as a conspiracy theorist, right, most of us are feeling, the word is vindicated, and I'm definitely feeling a bit of that, but I'm also feeling extremely uneasy about all of this, just because who knows what treachery could be afoot with all this, what schemes are intended by the release of this. Also consider that the Super Bowl is about to take place, so, I mean, you could say that, they're trying to sort of eclipse this release by having the Super Bowl. I mean, this should be, this should be a cause point for, as I said, getting out of politics. Trump was going to, that was his campaign promise, basically, to, that's why he got elected, is to release the Epstein files. And then, of course, he didn't want to do that, and then, Congress ordered the DOJ to do it. And so if you're looking at Trump like, oh, well, he's the worst of the two evils, well, like, the Democrats had 4 years with Joe Biden to do the same, so you're not looking much better. Don't let me go down that rabbit hole too much. That talking about politics it's always just you get drawn into it, and it just, like, someone like me who's strictly apolitical has to talk about both sides, otherwise somebody's going to jump on here and accuse me of being, partial to one side or the other. So, like, there's a lot of legwork for someone like me to, counteract that. So what could the scheme be that is intended by the release of this? Well, what I think is happening is the old world order of overt slavery. I'm talking, old, like going back to, the Sumerian Draconian Empire, really, like, roll your head down the ziggurat hat after cutting your heart out with a blade, sacrificing you to the eclipse god, or anyways. They want to bring that back out into the open. And they've wanted to do this for a long time, like thousands of years, because they have had to occult themselves for thousands of years. And I think that they want to bring this all back out into the open. Or, open enough. They want to do it by degree and by, a stepwise progression. And so, like, this is why they, tell us what they're doing in movies and TV shows and song lyrics. It's called the revelation of the method, because in order to assuage their karmic debt or guilt, they have to tell us what they're doing. And this, in their twisted ideology, is how they expect to clear themselves of karmic debt. I don't think this is legitimate. I don't think that you can, there are some things that you just can't, you will be held account in this life or the next. Of course, they want to become immortal also. The whole adrenochrome thing is very real, as is being exposed right now. So what do they intend to do with this? This is a further revelation of the method type of a moment, where, I mean, I had this thought last night. It kept me up, honestly. Just think about, like children watching their parents vote for the lesser of two pedophiles. Just think about how evil that is. I mean, like, Like, really think about it. Because that is going to start to normalize within that child that this is just what we do. And it like, you extrapolate that over the course of many generations, and you can see the depths to the evil scheme of where this might be going. You know, I really hope I'm wrong, but that's what I see happening here. Is they're just, because Epstein was just the tip of the iceberg. It's not like all of the child trafficking Satanists are now locked up and behind bars. Like, how many other fucking islands could be out there? And like, this is what all the wars are about. You destabilize a region, and it's a field day for the human trafficking operations. The whole concept of compartmentalized government, where one room of the CIA building doesn't know what's happening in the other room of the CIA building, and every single department of government is like this. So you can, wave your flag and, be all like Semper Fi with the Marines and everything, but who knows what kind of like satanic organizations are going on within like the Marine Corps, for example. Or, I mean, you name the, military organization, the CIA, the intelligence organization. That's the other thing, is this is really showing the connection between the intelligence agencies and the occult. I've known about this for, a long time. All you have to do is look into the mythos of James Bond, right? 007. Where does that come from? 007. This comes from Dr. John Dee, the Enochian black magician who worked for Queen Elizabeth in her court, summoning Enochian angels with a crystal ball, and they gave him a whole language. And I've heard these quote angels told him, we will give you technology, but you have to give us blood. And that's been the crux of a lot of these wars and stuff like that. But Dr. John Dee, he was also Queen Elizabeth's spy, and would sign his letters with a pair of spectacles with like one stem of the eyeglasses, and that's the 7, so 007, pair of spectacles. I always tell everyone that at the Renaissance fairs I go to, because they're all playing like it's Queen Elizabeth's court, and I'm like, hasn't anyone ever heard of John Dee? Anyways, this shows the connection between the occult and MI6, and I mean, there's so many other connections between the intelligence agencies, but MI6, the CIA, and Mossad, these are like the big 3 that run things, at least on a high-ish level. There's always a cult above the cult that's running things. There's always a cult without a name, and then it gets even more etheric than that. But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's just the tip of the iceberg. So Yeah, I feel vindicated, but I'm also, like, on high alert. So, yeah, hope you are too. Alright, catch you next time.